Hi, George Durkee, Geography 66. This is lesson 7 of week 1, and it will be the last in our series, creating a web map and then a web app. I'll start where we left off in lesson 6, where we'll go into more customization of our app. So that's a basic app, and it actually looks pretty good as is. But there's a few more widgets we could look at, and in any event, which I want you guys to be familiar with as a little more customized way of building an app. So let's go back to our app builder, and we'll take it out of express mode. And then, yeah, this just explains you can go back and forth. And it's got the same steps over here, except you go to them manually. So you have the same view map here and the same about. So we can add a little bit of customization here. And you can add a custom header, so that allows you to do a header in HTML, for instance, for a little bit more customization. But we'll just keep it as is for our purposes. One difference that you do have here is if you remember, the splash information screen said OK, but you could add a custom little message here, but let's keep it as OK. And we'll stay in about and go back here. And we can also customize your opening page settings here. So you can add a cover page, which is kind of nice. That makes it, in a sense, a two-page scrolling web app. In a great scheme of things, this might be a little too much, but let's look at what we can do with it. So for title, we'll once again do current, well, let's call it active wildfire information map. And that comes, oops, get rid of the bracket. You can give a color to the title. Well, that's just for show, but sure, let's go with red. And then, I don't know, I don't have anything here, more information and stuff. And you can also add color to that. But notice how it gives a subtitle size there. And the button text is explore, or it could be scroll down or something like that. Let's go scroll down for more information just to make it clear. And you can change the background color using a solid color. So for instance, I don't know, we could make it gray. Oh, yuck. Okay, let's not do that. Let's go back to blue. And you can also try an image. So let's try that. You choose a file. And up comes your standard file browser. And as it happens, I have a I have an image of the Washington fire from 2 years ago. And so that's a pretty dramatic opening, though active contrasts kind of poorly with the fire in the background. But that's yet another aesthetic contrast you can work on. But for the moment, let's go with that. Then we go back, and we can now go on to the sidebar itself. Location of the sidebar, so we can put it left or we can put it right. I kind of like left, so we'll leave it there. You can do things like expand the sidebar tools, and so we'll just demo that to show you what it's like. And you can select which of these to open at the start. So you can go none, or you can open it up with the layer list for people to turn on and off specific uh, feature layers, or you can start it off with, as we had at the legend, which will show the symbology. So let's leave it at legend. But once again, that's yet another variable you can fool around with and see what works best for your map. And so then we've activated these previously, so we're not going to touch those. And then yet another variable that wasn't offered in the Express setup is you can apply options to individual layers. So for instance, we could apply an option to, say, California fire perimeters all. And here are the options. You show it in the legend. You can add a zoom to full extent. So options. So if you remember, uh, the wildfire, active wildfire data set uh, included the whole western U.S. So when that opens up, it could show the full extent, or you could show the table itself. But I think we won't do any of that. We're going to keep it simple and basic. But I would like you guys to try a couple of those and see what it looks like. One thing that I do want to add here are edit tools, because you remember we have our points, lines, and polygons feature layer that we created. So your choice there is to be able to edit it. Now that's only going to apply if you're not using the uneditable view layer. So it could be that for your map, you want to crowdsource information, or you want friends to draw stuff in to add information to your map that you can later download and keep track of. So that's allowed by the edit tool. Now you can't edit any of the other feature layers because they're off of servers and they'd prevent you from editing anything, except as we've already done the labels and the symbology in most cases. And your next choice is enable snapping, which means that when you draw something, you can snap it to a road or something like that, so it exactly matches a road or another feature. But we don't really need that, so we won't use it. And then endless possibilities here. We can do a network trace. It's a really useful feature if you're tracing sewer lines or hooking them together or something like that. And we've already added a details page, which you can now edit again. We've selected an icon. Filter, as you may remember, we filtered that data, or I demonstrated how to filter data, but we won't include that. But that can be another useful tool. Uh, but you can see there's just so many customizable tools here. It's best to keep it simple. And then finally, a base map gallery. This is actually kind of useful, so we'll add that, even though it adds a huge amount of possibilities for us. But good news, you can actually, this is all the base maps you can use here, but we might just want to have only a few available because they've got so many in the Esri library. So you'd want to get rid of the blueprint style, the dark map maybe. Anyway, you can go through that list and copy and cut it down to maybe you would want nape imagery hybrid maybe, which is a nice imagery, satellite imagery map. Experiment with some of the others. But anyway, you get rid of most of them, cut it down to maybe 4. And so anyway, you'd want that in there. And now we'll look at interactivity with yet another list of variables and customization you can look at. So zoom to a scale level is useful, and this allows you to choose a scale level that it'll zoom to. And hover pop up so that if you hover your mouse over a particular feature layer, it'll pop up with the information. Compass is maybe a little overkill here. Find current location. That's good if you're using this within a phone and you can hook it up to the GPS of your phone. It'll show you where you are. Zoom controls we've got, so we want that. Measurement tools are kind of nice. And once again, I'm just adding stuff here, but you want to look at the whole thing once you've done it, and just make sure it's not too busy or has too much junk in there. Open measurement tool, it's as app starts, probably not. The default format for your coordinate system, area unit, we'd change that to say either acres or square miles. Let's go acres because it's fire area. Oops, sorry, acres. There we go. And then length unit, we go to miles. And we're having enough fun here, so let's go with that. We have a scale bar in there, and you can use a dual unit, so you could have it in meters and feet. But we'll keep it there. Oh, and a navigation boundary limits where how far out of your map you'd want it to be viewable. So if you want a specific area viewed, you can set that through the navigation boundary. Then theme and layout, and gives you more here. Position manager, change the location of the tools in your group, which we'd already worked with. You can add a customized logo. So if you're working for a particular agency, Park Service or Forest Service, you can add their logo to the header. And an overall theme, which we'd worked with for the colors and so on, and then a layout for the panel size. And let's make that a little smaller and see what we have here. Okay, well, that just gives you an idea of a lot more tools you can add. So what I want you guys to do is to add just a couple of those, and it would be nice to have an opening page as I do here, and then you can scroll down for more information. And maybe you could look online and find a nice fire photo to use. Now over in the left nav bar, left navigation bar here, we also have views where we can look at it on a desktop, what it would look like in portrait mode and what it would look like in landscape mode on a phone or a tablet, say. So go ahead and look at those as well. ArcGIS Online does a fairly good job of scaling a Arc Online web page to a particular device. It's not perfect, and in Experience Builder, you've got a little more customization you can do there. You can actually move the tools to better positions so they show up better within your map. But yet again, that's something I'd like you guys to take a look at, and let's just go with what we have. So we'll get out of that, and let's publish again just to see what it looks like. We confirm it, and then we want to launch it yet again. Now, Experience Builder allows you to constantly look at the live map without going through this, but after major edits, you can take a look at it. So here's what it would appear like to people bringing up your map, and you go down, and there comes your map with your legend list, your base map gallery, and so, or bookmark is what I wanted, and Klamath Fire, etc. So anyway, details and layers, info, etc., etc. Anyway, we've been over that, and you can collapse it so that doesn't show, or it just shows as a thin little toolbar there. So one last thing we can look at here. So you've created your map, and you realize that there's some other stuff you can add on the web map, or other stuff you need to add. So what you can do is we go back to our web map, and let's say we want to add a bookmark. We want to have a bookmark take us to Sonora and to where we drew in our feature layer that we can edit. So let's do that. Let's go to the search bar and let's go to Sonora, California. And up comes our feature layer that we drew in practicing. And let's add this as a bookmark. And we'll just call it Sonora area. And feature layer. And then we'll add that. And then we save it. And what we're aiming for here is to show it in our app and then save it there. And it won't show up there. When you make a change here and save it, it'll then show up in your app. So if we go back to the app that we published and we just go to bookmarks, and you might have to refresh it here, but in this case, our Sonora area feature layer came up as a new bookmark. And just click on that, and that'll take us to Sonora. And then last, let's look at the edit button here. And let's go to the polygon. And then you go over here, left click to start it. And as I said, then double click to end it. And there you go. You've added in another feature, and we can add a date here for let's say 3rd of October. You can give a time, and you can give it a label, and we'll call it arrow. Okay, and then create, and that adds it in. Okay, so those are the basics. Let's leave it there. And so, as I've said a couple of times here, I just want you guys to explore and get a feel for how the app works and how you can add tools to it using the Instant app. And just add a couple of tools, and we'll call it good for a web app. Okay, hope that all makes sense. Be sure that if you have questions, you write me right away, and I'll help you however you need. We can do a Zoom hookup, or usually email just works, but anything you guys need to complete this. Okay.